Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar, Detailed Account Statements in Office. My name is Tash and I will be taking you through today's session. I'd like to start today's webinar by showing my respect and acknowledging the Quandamooka people as the traditional custodians of the lands, winds and waters from where I gathered today. I extend my acknowledgement to the traditional custodians throughout Australia, celebrating their diversity, culture, and ongoing connections to lands, winds, and waters throughout Australia, including where you gather from today. I pay respect to elders, past, present, and emerging, extending that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples joining us today. Perfect. If you haven't attended one of our webinars before, welcome. We are very welcoming in wanting to connect and collaborate with our community during our webinars. So if you do have any questions on the content that we are covering, we ask that you please pop them into the Q&A box. You'll find that on your Teams toolbar. So it'll sit next to chat. But if you do have any questions, please place them in Q&A. It just helps our team be able to navigate and track and efficiently answer all of those for you. We want to make sure that during today's session, if you do have any questions, if there is anything outstanding that we haven't answered for you, that you are feeling comfortable to ask us further insights. We want you walking away from this session feeling really confident with how to read the detailed statements section on your parent accounts. Perfect. Without further ado, let's jump in. So today's agenda, we will be going through the detailed account statement view and how to access, why this screen is useful for administrators, a detailed overview of the categories that you will see within this screen. We'll also outline particularly the CCS and the payment sections. We'll go through some tips and tricks to be aware of or things to identify and look out for in this feature that are going to help you further navigate what's going on with this statement and be able to effectively communicate that back to the family. And then, as I mentioned at the end, we will have some Q&A time. Now, I do have the incredible Hayley from support in today's session. So if you do have any questions, Hayley is going to be jumping through and answering those as we run today's session. But if there is anything big, Hayley's going to hold on to that until the end, and we're going to be able to answer live and show you some real life examples or just talk through steps or processes that you might need to action. Excellent. So when we're talking about the detailed account statement, what is this feature? In your Office platform, if you navigate in Office to Financial, Parent Accounts, navigate to the primary carer. So for the particular account that we're wanting to look at, select the purple statements icon in the background here. You can see it. So it's just your third icon when you first navigate to the account screen. And then from there, we want to select detailed. So by default, you'll land on the standard statement, which is what your families see, but we want to go to the detailed tab. So that's what we're talking about when we're looking at the detailed account statement. Within this section, it delivers a list of transactions sorted by the actual date that things occur in your system. It also will let you know the date in which the occurrence is placed against. So if you can see in the background here, we've got our actual date of the occurrence, and then we have the date that's reflected on the statement. So we're able to see both of those levels in the system. You will be able to view this for current primary carers and previous historic primary carers if you have those on the account. Just in the drop down here, you will be able to select a previous primary carer if applicable. Perfect. So what are some of the categories that we will see when we're looking at the detailed statement? So we've replicated exactly what it is that you will see the terminology under the categories. Each of those categories also has some subcategories. So it's going to let us know in a bit more detail exactly what it is that we're looking at. So first thing that we have on the system is your balance adjustment. So this refers to our balance adjustment tool. If you have used that, then they are reflected as balance adjustment in the system. Now, catch-all is an old category, but if you are viewing historic data and if you were with us pre-2018, You might see catch-all. We did have a few of those also placed during COVID time. So they are your $0 non-CCS fees. So we're sending off to CCS, but they're $0 fees. They do fall under catch-all. So if you do see those, that's what they are. We've got our CCS category, and we are going to dive into this one in a bit more detail because 90% of the queries that we have coming through are either around payments or CCS. So we're going to cover both of those topics in detail. But when you do see CCS, this is going to refer to your childcare subsidy payments. Now, you do have some subcategories that fall under CCS. Those will be estimates, those will be actuals, those will be user reversals. So keep those in mind. We will touch on them, but CCS is in the system. You've got your daily fees, so they refer to the daily fee that's being charged against the session that the child's booked in for. So daily fees, full fee. You've got your discounts in there. So if discounts are applicable on an account, you're going to see the discounts in there. You've got a manual refund as well. So this refers to the method of a payment being refunded. You could do that through financial adjustments, etc. You've got your miscellaneous fees, you've got your payments, and you've got your user reversals in there. If you want a detailed overview or a copy of this, please feel free to screen grab from the screen right now. We are recording today's session, so you'll have the recording. I also pulled this directly from our knowledge base article, so you have all the information at your fingertips from any of those formats I just mentioned. All right, when we're talking about childcare subsidy, we are talking about the fee payment that is made from the government onto a child or family account against a child's sessions. So the categories for these are user reversals or CCS. So they're your main category. And then you will have subcategories as well, which we can see here. Your subcategories will be CCS, estimates, or actuals. So this is going to distinguish exactly what that fee is against. Is it against an estimate? Is it against an actual? If it's a user reversal, then it's CCS. It means the government has come back through and a change has been made to the CCS entitlements, whether you've resubmitted the sessions, whether the government's resubmitted the sessions, whether the child's CCS entitlements have changed. So all of those account in here. When we are looking at the detailed statement, it's really important to note that you have access to actual dates, which your families do not have access to. So your families only have access to the date in which this is applicable, but you can actually see when changes have been placed in the system and when those changes occurred. So for the example that we have on here, you can see that CCS was in an estimate and then CCS moves into an actual. So anything that we are, for example, if our billing window is in advance and we're placing CCS estimates on the account, we know that CCS is paid in arrears. So once that is actually paid, those estimates are removed and then the CCS actual is placed on the account. Now, forward facing for a family, they just see it aligned with the dates in which that should happen. So they see the Monday, the week of, as their actual payments. And then they see any future weeks will have estimates against the individual sessions. For you as an administrator under the detailed account, though, you can see when this actually happens and takes place. You've even got the timestamp on there. So when are the CCS estimates removed? When are the actuals placed on the account? Is there a difference between the two? So did we estimate X and then they actually got paid Y? Do they all align? So you'll see all of those on there. You will also have variances that will populate. So going from an estimate where subsidy entitlements have changed, you'll be able to see in here, we've got the CCS estimate, and then we can see that we have a 1 next to the action item, which means that it has been reversed. So there's been a change or occurrence happen. And then we can see the estimates change. So here the estimate was $29.23, and here it's been updated and it's $29.25. So 2 cents in variation. But if we're accounting that as 2 cents against every session for the year, that could add up to a lot of money. So it's key to note, we're looking at the 1 for changes, we're looking at the changes over in the amounts column here. Easy. So just running through CCS categories, these refer to CCS payments within the system. On occasion, when the CCS estimate has changed or if the CCS has been redrawn, administrators will be able to see these changes through the detailed account screen as follows. So you'll be able to see it through estimates against the individual sessions for individual children. You'll see it as actuals, which will align against the week. So again, estimates are against the individual sessions. Actual CCS payments are for the whole week. And then you'll see user reversal, which refers to the removal of estimates when the actual payment has been paid or when CCS changes have been made on a particular account. So categories, user reversals, actuals, estimates. Easy. If we're comparing what a regular statement view looks like versus the detailed statement, I've taken a snapshot here. So the regular statement view looks like this. You just have the date in which the payments are placed against, whereas in the detailed view for the same date range, we can see that it's actually double in size. And in that detailed view, we can see the actual dates in which things have happened. So I've snapshotted for all of October for the same child, just in the two different categories, and we can see them all in here. So there's a lot of changes that have happened on this account related to October. So when coming through, again, we're highlighting any ones because this indicates that something has changed, something's altered, something's been reversed and an actual's been placed for some reason. So looking at those, we can see the variations here. You've got your CCS in estimates that will move to actuals. So we can see actuals in here and we will have user reversals when we're removing the estimates. User reversals will also relate to CCS changes. So for example, on an account, if you've had to resubmit, so if the child didn't get paid CCS for whatever reason, so they had an estimate on their account, they didn't sign in or out or something's happened and they weren't entitled to CCS, the estimate's been removed off the account and actual hasn't been paid on the account, you've gone through, you've resubmitted those sessions, they've now had CCS paid against those sessions. You'll see all of that in here through the detailed screen. So I know it's a lot of information, but I hope we're making really, really clear when you're looking at statements, you're just getting the overview of what is appearing on the statement against the dates. And when we're looking at the detailed statement, it's showing you actually what's happening on this account, step by step, time and date stamp, so you can run back and troubleshoot anything that might have gone awry on any particular account at any given time. Easy. All right, I did put a tips and tricks page in here, but I will go forward and then we can come back and use this one. Again, we aren't live connected to CCS. We don't have any mock data, so we have used actual data from children of people who work at Xplor. So we've redacted their name and we've obviously, in doing that, redacted all of the descriptions, but we will be able to use this screen to answer any questions that might come through. But let's jump ahead to payments. So when we're talking about payments, your category is going to be payments, but your subcategories are huge. So it's credit card, it's check, it's cash, it's FPOS, it's credit note, it's direct deposits, it's your direct debits, it's your Centerpays, your BPays, your debit success, XPay, daily pay nows. All of your payments are listed in here. They all have their subcategory. Through the detailed screen, administrators are able to view the actual date in which financial adjustments, balance adjustments, and payments have been placed on an account. When entering manual payments, such as through the Add Payment button or through balance adjustments and financial adjustments, administrators are able to select a when date. So although I'm putting a payment in today, I can select the when date for when I want this to be applied against. It could be a date in the future. It could be a date in the past. When I'm looking at my detailed screen, it's going to let me know the actual date that this was placed in the system and then the date in which this payment falls against. So we've put a few examples over here just to show you what that might look like. Over here, you can see that there was a discount attached to an account because fees were paid at the front desk. So we can see that that was paid on the 25th of the 11th and it was placed against the 25th. So paid on the same day as it was lodged. Perfect. You can see on here that we've got a user reversal payment. So this is for our XPay integration. So we can see that the payment was scheduled to be taken, but the user reversal has been placed on the account. I would say 9 times out of 10, this is because it ran through the gateway and they had insufficient funds or bank block. All of those are rejected by payment gateway reasons. So this is it here. So it shows you when it was run. It shows you when we received that gateway rejection, and then those funds were placed back on the account. So we can see those here. Directly underneath that, we can see miscellaneous fees. So your miscellaneous fees relate to your financial adjustments that you're placing on the account. Miscellaneous is a debit that you're putting on the account. This could show up as a credit or discount as well, which you can see up the top here. Now, because we have selected a financial adjustment, you do have your subcategory in here, and they're based on the item codes that you've created. So putting in your item codes is really key because you'll be able to identify what those are when you're reviewing the statements, but also they show up for families. But we can see them on here. In these examples, we can see that the actual date that this was placed on the account was the 24th of the 11th, but it was placed for the 12th of December. So we've placed it in November for a future date. So really key to highlight those. For families, they're only going to see this show up here. You've got your XPay payments in here that have gone through successfully. You've got your balance adjustments. So this is what it will look like here. So all of your examples are in here. You can take a screenshot of this right now if you'd like. Otherwise, you probably see these in your accounts as they stand currently. Perfect. So that is an overview of the detailed account statement feature. Now, we launched that 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. We've made it live to all administrators. Previously, this was just accessible to your provider level or super admin users. But as we've highlighted, the feature is really, really important for your day-to-day administrators who are running a service to have access to, which is why we made it accessible to everyone. It really helps to understand when things are placed on the account. It really helps to understand when particularly changes have been made in the CCS realm, because on the front-facing statement, it's against the date that it was applied to, but actually on the detailed account statement, we can see when that was placed. So we might have received CCS changes today for something that happened in July, August, September. So as an administrator, we're trying to empower you to be able to see what's going on and troubleshoot at a service level and be able to communicate that with your families really confidently. All right, we have hit the Q&A section. So I'll reach out to Hayley. Do we have any questions to go through?
Hi. Yes, there is one here from Nicola.
Yeah.
She notes that your actual date is in Australian format of day, month, year, but her Xplor appears to be in the American format of month, day, year. Is it possible to change that?
Great question. It's not something that I've set up. I think it's just a computer default setting on my Mac. We can take that offline and double check with our team on how you could get that reflected correctly in your system. But I'm going to say, yes, it is possible because I've screen grabbed from my Office account. So if I can do it, everyone can. Perfect. Do we have any other questions? No such thing as a silly question. Please throw it in the channel. Q&A, you can chuck it in chat if you want. We don't have too many coming through, so we'll be able to navigate and answer them for you. Perfect. Georgia, we don't have any future sessions. Hayley is correct. But if this is a topic that you would like revisited, please let us know when you think would be a great time to rerun this. Every session that we run is recorded. You can access the recordings on our Vimeo account. We do also email that link to anyone who registered for a session. So you'll get that 24 hours after the session actually runs. So you have access to all of our webinars and recordings. But if you think this is a great topic and you'd like to see this maybe refreshed and re-delivered, let us know. You can reply to the email that you'll receive tomorrow with those ideas, along with any other topic suggestions. We want to facilitate what works for you, what you're interested in, what you need upskilling in. So please let us know if there's any other topics as well.
Hi, Tash. Did we cover any little tips?
I tried to include the tips as I was going through each screen.
Awesome.
But we can go back to the screen and I can reiterate. So tips and tricks would be, firstly, looking at your reversed column. Anything with a 1 in it is highlighting that there has been a change. So we want to have a look at those and identify what that change is and how that's impacted the statement. So whether that is a CCS estimate change, whether that is a user reversal where maybe the CCS has been redrawn, that's going to indicate to us that either the entitlements have been updated, something's changed on the account. So this is going to highlight really easily, okay, this is where we should start when we're troubleshooting to see what's going on within an account. So the reverse column with a 1 in it, that's the best tip or trick. Other things that you could be highlighting in here are, again, the actual date versus the date that they apply against. So you can see on here, we've got the actual date being the 10th of November, but it applies against the 31st of October. So considering your billing windows as well, particularly those services who are billing in advance, if you do have CCS changes from estimate to actual where the entitlements differ, this is going to impact the payments and it's going to leave funds outstanding or not paid on a family account, particularly if they have a payment plan with CCS. So where the system intuitively is estimating based on their entitlement, but it's receiving their actual based on what the government has paid. If they have a payment plan with the government, that's going to be less whatever their deducted amount is. So you'll be able to see that in here. You can also use this screen to be calculating. So when the user reversals come through, you can calculate what those were versus the actual that's placed on the account and see if those add up. So that's another tip or trick. A lot of it really revolves around CCS because that is the biggest variable in the account. Outside of that, other things to look out for would be if your administrators are removing or deleting sessions after they have been billed. So particularly, again, if you bill in advance, if you haven't removed session bookings prior to that billing window being opened up and the family being charged for it, that will be a key one to look out for as well. So all of that's going to help in navigating and troubleshooting when you're reading a statement and identifying what's going on. Is there a way to download the detailed version? There isn't. Or let me double check. Hold on. I'm in the system now. Just going to download it and see what comes up. My understanding is when you're downloading it, it's just downloading the actual statement, which is what the family sees. Just downloading one now. Correct. So no way to download the detailed statement. It is just visible on the screen, but a really great tip or trick in the box that I haven't included in the screen grab, but wish I had right now. But above the actual date in the drop down, you can actually assign how many records you want to be viewing. So by default, we put this as 10, but you've got the option to up that to 25, 50, or 100. So then you've got a detailed overview all in one screen. You're not having to go across to multiple screens to view data. You can screen grab from here, but you'll always have historic access. You can always go back to any date. You also have the ability, similar to what you do on your regular statements, where you can input the date range. So you can segment your view to really view particular date ranges. But just keep in mind, when you are segmenting your view to particular date ranges, it's not going to help if you're trying to troubleshoot, because we're really taking note of the actual date versus the date that it's applied to. So you want to make sure that you do have it open so you can see where variations have changed, because we're talking about CCS, they could come back through in 3, 6, 9 months time and make changes for sessions in arrears. And the way that we're going to see that is going into that detailed view, looking at the actual date, seeing when things have changed, and then being able to effectively communicate that.
We do have a question here from Yasmin. Is it possible to highlight, copy and paste as values into Excel? This is how I reconcile accounts to support centres with payment breakdowns.
Beautiful. You can highlight it. I don't know how the copy and paste would work in Excel. So I'm not going to say a definitive yes, it will absolutely work, but you can absolutely highlight, copy and paste. How that looks when you paste it into Excel, I'm not sure. Definitely test it out though, because if that's what works for you and that's what you're utilizing, that might be a really great solution. If you can put it straight into Excel, it will go straight into a Word doc, but I'm not sure on that Excel element.
We do have a raised hand as well from the TCAC coordinator. If you're available, can you pop your question into the chat or the Q&A, please?
Perfect. Definitely pop them in. We haven't turned on mics or cameras for the session, purely because some people do come in and forget to mute themselves. So we just want to make it easier. We also just want to make sure we're covering all questions. So if you can pop it into the Q&A or chat, that would be amazing. I can see was there a question around future training? Sorry, Hayley.
Yep, no, exactly right.
So how do we add suggestions for future trainings? You will receive an email after this webinar. Generally, it will be 24 hours after we've run any webinar that you register for, and you can submit it through there. So we actually ask for feedback. We would love if you can add in there future webinar content that you'd love covered. Let us know how this session went, if there's things that you'd like to see in more detail, if you want to change the structure. All of your feedback comes directly through to the training team, so we would love to hear what would be valuable for you.
My apologies to Yasmin, who has clarified that her question was actually a statement, more so that she does paste into Excel as values, and it does work. So if people are wanting to have a harder copy of that screen and print that off, they're able to do that.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that, Yasmin. That's actually really, really helpful for everyone, especially the finance teams. If you are on this call, that will be incredibly helpful. So reiterating, you can cut and paste into Excel. Perfect.
TCAC coordinators come through with, we have problems with CCS not being applied and parents not paying gap. Is this okay to ask for advice here or another platform?
Yeah, I would say for particular accounts, it's best to phone our incredible support team so they can dive into your center and look at some of the live data that you have. And the team will be able to navigate with you on what to look at, why it's not working, and then troubleshoot with you to make sure that it's fixed. Obviously, if they can't resolve it there and then on the phone, they will take away your question and they will raise it with our L2, and we will definitely be able to get a resolution to you. So I would say give them a call, or you've got the chat option. You can also email them if you don't want, a same day response. You've got 3 platforms to contact them, but they will be the best ones for you. If it's prior to July 24th, we're touching on last financial year. Again, the incredible support team will be able to navigate with you in what's gone wrong, particularly because this is such a unique issue that's occurring at your service and wouldn't be one that we would see at many services at all. So they can go through, take a look at your accounts, work out what's going on. If you do need to change or resubmit anything, you would be going down the dispensation route, but our team is so knowledgeable, they'll be able to let you know next steps and kind of troubleshoot and navigate with you on that one. Easy. Perfect. I think we have answered all of your questions. Just going through and making sure. Yes. All right. Perfect. As I mentioned at the beginning of today's session, this session is recorded, so you will have a link that will come through tomorrow with a feedback form with the link to where this recording will be sitting. So please feel free to go through and share that recording with anyone who couldn't attend today. Please feel free to pin it so you can go back through and review it anytime. We would love to hear from you. So if you do have feedback, if you do have future webinar suggestions or content suggestions at all, feel free to respond back in that feedback form that we'll deliver to you. Outside of that, we do have some upcoming webinars that I will just highlight now. So if you haven't registered for them, you absolutely can do so before we run them. Next week, we have the Xplor quarterly wrap-up. So what we'll be going through, because it is December, is just highlighting all of the incredible feature releases that we've had through 2024. So just making sure you haven't missed anything, highlighting everything that we have delivered. We'll also give you a little bit of a sneaky insight into anything that we might know is coming in 2025. So if you do join us for that webinar, you might get a little bit of intel. You might not, depends what I can get between now and next week. Outside of that, that does conclude our webinars for 2024. We won't be running anything else until 2025. But if you do want to register, we already have all of Q1 scoped out. We do and will send you the link. It is through a Luma account. It will outline all of the webinars that we have for Q1 next year. So please feel free to go through now and register for those. It should be attached to the form that you'll receive, the email, that you'll receive tomorrow, which will also have the feedback. It will also have the session link recording to it as well. If you miss that email at all, you will have my email attached to this webinar. So feel free to email me tomorrow afternoon. I'm so happy to re-forward to you. Otherwise, if you're not part of our new release email listing, please join that, because we have our Luma link on there. We have all of the intel on things that are upcoming, things that are being released. We let you know all of our newly released features, along with all of the content that we've created, being knowledge-based articles and videos as well. Excellent. Perfect. Well, I'd like to thank you all so much for attending today. It's always a pleasure to be able to collaborate live with you in session. And if I don't see you next week at our quarterly wrap-up, I look forward to engaging with you in 2025. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good afternoon. Bye.